Horse Motor Company Complete Bottom End. This one has an additional feature, their proprietary cylinder stud inserts. So hopefully I'll stop pulling them out of the case. So let's zoom in for a second on these proprietary Dark Horse stud inserts. They do look to be more robust than the typical time cert that I've used for this repair before. So I went ahead and had them reinforce all 8 studs for max durability. These inserts utilize a buttress thread, which has a unique thread pitch that resists the force against the stud from all this high horsepower, high torque that we're throwing at these motors, better than the stock cases, of course, and any other product. So some builders are using this as a preventative thing already, and all you have to do is send in your cases. They'll set it up on their mill program. They'll drill your stud holes and they'll throw in the inserts and pin it, and you'll be good to go for miles and miles. Drop the block into the chassis, and a few things you have to do. Obviously, ideally, you replace the transmission to the crankcase gasket. Sandwiches right in here in the middle. You got 4 transmission to crankcase bolts, 2 on each side. I think the sequence is cross pattern 15 foot-pounds, cross pattern 36, around there. So let's double check them. Make sure they're good. Good. The dog bone here attachment to the torque wrench, the 1/2 inch, it's really the best way to kind of squeeze in to some of these tight places to get an accurate reading. There's not a lot of space, because of the transmission case to really get a torque wrench in there the right way. So just checking them out. 36 foot-pounds is the range I'm going with. Good. Slide this bitch on. All right, make sure you protect your cylinder area there, your bore area, so you don't drop any silly crap down there and cause yourself a headache. All right, next we have the front motor mounts right here. Straight down in here. See if I can focus in on that. Yeah, there you go. I shoved a bolt up there just to align everything. Essentially, that is the front engine mount, and I think it's around 38 foot-pounds. Little blue Loctite on the nut and washer that go on the top side, and then it'll all be secure. Stand by for more. You need a pretty powerful tool for this 2 1/4 nut, pretty stubborn. This what I have is a M18 Milwaukee Fuel. Well, it would help if I had some better jaws than that. All right. This is easier than, apparently, it usually is. It's easier than taking this pivot shaft out. Might have to saw it off, I don't know. But these are cheap. These are, you know, they're not very good. I don't have much use for them usually. Ah. There we go. KitchenAid. Gotta get it done. This is, I guess I'll just fillet some chicken breast now. Little film of oil on the mating surfaces here. Vulcan works. All right, put a little lube on the, which side is it? That's right. A little lube on the face here. Not too much. 3-4 dots will do it. All right, spin it on. Give it a little hand tight. Fucking race against time. So this, before this red Loctite hardens up, you got about 10-15 minutes maybe. All right, I got the 9-finger fab Sprocket lock tool on there. I'm gonna give it the old 100 foot-pounds. There we go. Now we'll check it. All right, I slid my lock plate on, and you can see that it has lined up. I had to wrench it down another, you know, they recommend if it doesn't line up great, you just tighten it a little further. So I just cranked on it, moved a little bit, and now she's good. So, 100 inch-pounds. These fasteners with some red Loctite. Just verify that they're all the way seated. You don't want that plate to move at all. Always clean your holes. Always clean them out, blow them out. The sprocket was new, but I still cleaned it. You know, always chase your threads on your bolts and stuff. So, or at least wire brush them if you just have that. But just double check everything when you button things up. So there's no play on the sprocket, so it did not get hung up. Make sure you lube all of your mating surface areas, a little bit of light oil, so you're looking at a false torque reading. Always inspect everything. I replaced this inner race last time I had this apart 2,000 miles ago, so I know that's good. Inner primary bearing as well. So it's moving free, as it should. All right, we have the Vulcan Works push drive, 55 tooth in the rear. Really nice, durable coating here. I've used it before, and it's really durable. The cush hub is polished aluminum. I asked for the bare aluminum. Comes with bearing inserted already, spacer. So that's a nice feature. Really good job, as always, by the Made in USA Vulcan Works Engineering. We got about 42 foot-pounds for these flange bolts. I already run them down. Let's just double check them. Red Loctite. Good. All right, it's time to set up the chain. So I have a really nice RK kit that does everything you need for this job. You can see here I'm screwing in the pin driver. So the first step is you have to press out the pin and take out the links that you don't need. This is an oversized chain. It's 130 links, so I just wanted to be safe, ensure that I had enough links for the sprocket setup that I had. So you use a 14 millimeter open end to turn the pin driver and a 17 to hold the main body bolt in place. And you just want to turn 15-20 foot-pounds of pressure. If you get any more, then just check your tool alignment to make sure you're not off center. And it takes a few minutes because that pin has to travel like an inch or so, inch plus. So don't use power tools, just use an open-ended wrench. And you'll see later here that this is not easy for these baggers to line up these the inside links of these chains. So the open end of the chain, each open end, there's the pin. Just you're not going to need that, and the links that I'm removing here. But setting up these baggers is tough because you need the inside link on both ends of the chain to be touching at the sprocket for the master link, and that's always hard. So this little tool is helpful to help bring the ends of the chain together. A lot of times there's just too much tension to get the inside links of each end of the chain, which is what you need for the master link, to connect. The baggers don't have a lot of travel in the axle forward and back, so getting it to set up properly, whether you're at the front or the travel, you don't want to set this up right away at the very rear because there'll be some chain stretch. So just to get this right is a real bear sometimes, so you have to fight with it. With the last stage here, I'm just pressing on the master link plate. And it's going to be, there's be some tension on it, and you'll know when it's over because it'll kind of bottom out, and that plate is completely seated on there. Always check your alignment, make sure that you're dead nut straight, and then the last stage was flaring the pin ends. So the pin ends here are flared. Looks pretty damn good to me. Setting up the Jag oil cooler adapter, you have to line it up so the anti-rotational device is contacting the case, and it has to be snug enough so that it won't move when you take your oil filter off and on. All right, blue bike again. always, we are unboxing some top-end components. Okay? And oh, well, you got base gasket. All right, that's just the bag. All right, it's an S&S fiber 18th thou base gasket. Okay, I'll put that over here. All right, invoice there. All right, and here's the piston set. Get it up here. Yeah, okay, yeah. CP Carrillo. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, sticker good. Spec sheet. Circlips, good, need those. Rings, you need those. Yeah, the 3mm oil rings on this particular set, which is a good thing. All right, we'll put those aside. Top ring, compression ring, second ring. We'll measure all that. So let's take a look at the piston set. These are 20 overs, 4 1/8 pistons. I did the skirt coating, the calicoat style coating, and it looks like they also did the tops for me, which is much appreciated. I didn't expect that, but I've had that done on other pistons, and I think the idea of it is to disperse the heat a little more evenly, protect the piston top, and maybe even a bit of a better quality combustion burn. So that's a good bonus. This skirt here is called a slipper skirt. It's a narrow skirt, unlike the fuller skirt that you'll see on a lot of pistons out there. And typically there's more piston rock with a skirt like this. But these pistons are custom designed, and you just can't buy them off the shelf. Only a few places will carry this particular piston design. And you can see underneath here, the journal and the pin area are a little beefier than some pistons with the slipper skirt, and that will help calm down the piston rock and give it some more stability. So that's why I like these. They're very light, at the same time they perform very well. So the overall, I think all in weight on this whole piston set, both of them with rings and wrist pin and clips included, is 1,001 grams, which is very light. It's about 200 or 300 grams lighter than the average piston for a 124. So that's why I like them. They spool up real quick. It's through the RPM range, especially with a lightened flywheel and H-beam rods. So these are ones that I continue to use and have a few sets on the way coming as backups, and I recommend you reaching out to me if you want to know how to get them. They're not easy. But on the other hand, the advantage of going with a piston weight of 1,200 to 1,300 total grams is that you have more options on brands. And if you decide to change brands and pistons at some point, you're probably going to be within the 50 gram allowance, so that you don't have to rebalance your flywheel. So just changing pistons, more options in the 12 to 1,300 range. This lightweight piston, hard to find, especially with the features that I like on it. And so I'm not telling anybody where I get them. Sorry. Okay, we're gonna open up the cylinder box. Okay. Okay, these are twin cam S&S cylinders, the taller ones. Yeah, for the longer stroke. for the 4 5/8 stroke. You got to make sure you know what you're doing with that, so you don't get the. I think they're 5 and 13 thou. I believe that's what they are. The longer ones that I have here. Anyways, all right, let's get it out of here. It's slipping. One-handed it. All right. All right, it's got a nice condom on it, I guess, for protection. And let's get it free. Let's take a look-see here, so. All right. Okay. Right. There it is. All right, we'll take a look here. Maybe I should put the flash on, huh? Can I do that? All right, this is the front cylinder. 4 1/8 bore, R&R cycles, machine shop. This is a 20 oversized bore cleanup and ready to go, ready to install after a serious cleaning. These are S&S cylinders, originally prepped by Hyper Performance a few years ago, but we are based on the cylinder stud failure and the havoc that it wreaked. I am now going 20 over with a matching set of custom CP pistons. So, like I've mentioned, these are taller. These are 5 and 13 thou height, which means that they are meant for the larger 4 5/8 stroke twin cam. And you see that cutout here is so that the spigots don't contact in the case. And so this is the spark plug side. And you can also obviously tell that by the push rod carve out and the carve out on the push rod side for the piston oiler jets to do their thing, lubing the pistons. So here they are. Need a good washing, good lubing, cleaning, all that jazz, and thicker fins than stock. You know, you guys all know the S&S game plan here. It's better and bigger and the whole nine. Need to grab another dowel from there, get the right one, and that's that. So putting on the rings, I like to start on the bottom rail. This is the expander ring. There's 3 parts to the first series of rings. The expander ring is tricky because it's so low tension. It wants to move around and bounce around. You just got to make sure you don't break it. And then an oil rail ring goes on the bottom of the expander and one on top of the expander. These also are very low tension, so just be gentle. Don't be freaked out if they bounce around and go into the wrong groove or space, because they do that. Every time I install a set, they always go somewhere that I don't want them to. You just have to be patient and then move them around gently and make sure that the ring gaps between the oil rail rings are kind of separate on other sides of the piston. So just verify your work, go around it very carefully, make sure you see where the ring gaps are located, and make sure that nothing is binding or hung up on anything, and that the 3-piece design moves freely. At the end, what I like to do is just move the 3 rings together back and forth to make sure they're not binding and they're just sliding smoothly like they should. So I've got the second oil control ring on already, and so now I'm going for the top compression ring. So much easier, a lot more tension. Of course, it has to hold maximum compression in the cylinder and not let any oil escape into the combustion chamber. So just make sure that all of your ring gaps are away from each other. I have a certain setup I like to use, a diagram I like to use for that. So I'm going to try something different, putting the piston in first, then the whole unit on the rod. So I don't know if I've heard of people doing this. I haven't seen it done. I just thought out of curiosity I'd try it. So flip the piston upside down, crown of the piston in the spigot area. You just line it up like you would if you were traditionally putting the piston on the rod in the motor. So just make sure that the ring compressor is evenly seated on all sides. The bottom of this spigot has a chamfer in it, which helps aid the piston in the rings to not get caught up and to slide into the cylinder bore. So just tap it into the bore once you're confident that it's all lined up, and that's what it looks like. This might actually be harder to do because it's so much more weight to line it up on the rod, so I'll probably end up bailing, going back to the traditional install method. I have this cool little Jim's tool that locks the crank wheel in place while I fit pistons and cylinders on so that the rods don't bounce around and screw up the install. All right. Let's see how she spins. We're good. These are the Cometic 3-layer MLS gaskets that most of us use on these big builds. So here I had R&R Cycles fortify all of the rocker arm support plate holes, all 8 of them. I stripped 2 out on the rear head and they were holding up, but I'm just not confident that the other ones will. So over time, when you have the heads, the bike apart 5-6 times, those aluminum holes start to get weak. So I'm just giving you a visual of the intake ports and the springs, and here you can see I'm pointing to the holes that I repaired. They held up, but we decided to do all 8. That's the exhaust port, and so I don't think I'll have any more problems. This should be bulletproof. I like to use S&S head bolts. You can probably reuse them
3 or 4 times, but they're much longer and stronger, so they grip further down on the cylinder stud. And here's the part numbers here. I just have to find ones that are legible, but this is what I recommend using for any of these big motor builds. I always drop a little slick lube in the internal threads of the head bolts and a little film of engine oil on the flange of the head bolt, or in this case, the washer, to get a good torque reading. Lube it up, lube it up. This side's the toughest. There's a wrench they make for this. A little half squat, kind of tight ball wrench, but the mechanism always breaks, so I just said, scrap that. I'm not gonna keep buying that. So you just take a 1/4 inch Allen like this. I'm just lining up the throttle body in the manifold right now. I'm not tightening it all the way because I do have to do some geometry with the back plate of the AC. So anyway, I'm just gonna get it down like that. This is my little sawed off 1/4 Allen. Comes in handy.
I had to use a 2-over pin in the front. There was way too much slop with the stock one. And don't forget your breather O-rings. A lot of people do, and that'll cause some weird ass symptoms that'll drive you nuts.